Okay, are you still considering moving abroad? Are you still looking for employment opportunities? Well, you've come to the right place because I have a few tips for you for this Work Abroad Wednesday. Now, there are so many of you on Facebook, um, Instagram, and TikTok on virtual platforms, and you're talking about how you want to get away, you want to move abroad, but you need a job. Maybe your current job will not allow you to work remotely, and that is your desire. And if that's your desire, stay right there. Don't let anyone change your mind. Write the vision of what you want on paper so you can see it, because if you write it out, that means it's already been in your head. You've already been planning it. It's already been in your heart. It's been a desire of yours, and we need to take action on making it happen. So I'm here to show you how to land that job, or at least provide tips. Because if I say I'm gonna help you land a job, that means 100% you're going to get the job. Now, I may believe that you're going to get it, but you have to believe you're going to get it. So when I say tips, that means these are some of the things that you need to consider when you're looking for a virtual assistant or a digital nomad position, particularly if you have admin, customer service, marketing, or content creation experience. Now you might say, Regina, well, I've been looking on LinkedIn, I've done a Google search, I've done Glassdoor, and I've even tried to create a lane for myself by starting my own virtual assistant or digital nomad company, but I am not connecting with clients. Well, let's simplify, because this is what I've used. And I've had experience working in the administrative/executive assistant lane for 3 decades. I've been working in the corporate sector for just as long as I've worked in the chef food service industry. So I'm proficient in both areas. So today I'm talking about how to land a job as a digital nomad, particularly as a virtual assistant. But today we're going to talk about how to look for a virtual assistant or digital nomad job. So first thing you want to consider is your number. What is your number? What do I mean by number? What I mean is, what is the amount you will need so that you can live comfortably? Have you done any research about the countries that you want to live in? Have you considered the economic impact it can have on your finances and the countries that you can affordably live in? Of course, we're going to put safety on the list first. And if you considered safety, location, maybe weather, and then affordability. So we're going to simplify things. I personally believe that going through a virtual assistant company, meaning an organization that have already aligned with clients to match you with the best client that fits your background, is the quickest and easiest way to get your business off the ground, or to help you start generating income as a digital nomad. Now, the reason why I say that is because when I was in the corporate world, that's all I used were headhunters. Now, this wasn't for a virtual role, but my point is I used another company who had already done the legwork, who had already searched out and scouted clients that they wanted to work with, had already scouted virtual executive assistants, receptionists, customer service, people who could be matched with their clients. They've already done the legwork. So all you have to do is submit your application, maybe have a few interviews, maybe complete a few tests just to see if you can match with a company or client in their client base. Now, I say that's the simplest way because, once again, they have already done the legwork and they have already establish a pricing structure based on what they're charging their clients. Now, mind you, because they are the intermediary, meaning they're in between the client and you, they're going to automatically take a cut. Now, there are some virtual assistant companies that are in the high tier range, meaning they start at $25 to $30, and then you may have some even above that, but that's usually for if you have a specialized and technical background. I'm just talking about administrative, customer service, marketing assistant, content creation. And then you have the next tier, which is about 18 to 25. And then you have the next tier under that, which is about $13 to $18 an hour. Now, I get a lot of frowns from people who say, no, I could never make 15 or 17 or $18 an hour. I've made $40 an hour or $30 an hour. I did that. Well, that was when you were aligned with a corporate job and you understood the rules. You had to go into the office every day and you had to drive to work. You had to, there are certain rules when you are working in the corporate office, right? Well, now this is in a digital space. You want to work remotely in a different country. So that means that the economic structure may be very different in another country. So you might want to consider taking a slight pay cut. And when I say pay cut, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to suffer, but it could mean that you can still live in a country of your choice and not only survive, but thrive while you're there, meaning that you can meet your basic needs like your housing, all of your utilities, your transportation, your food, still have money to do the fun stuff and still have money to invest if that's what you'd like to do and save. So I am just recommending starting with whatever tier company you feel comfortable, because usually they will say on their website how much they're offering digital nomad / virtual assistant. Even if you started with the low tier, and I'm going to start there, let's discuss that right now, because I think people are misinformed when it comes to starting with a lower tier virtual assistant digital nomad position or digital nomad company. There are ways to leverage your skills so that you can land the job you want. When I first started working as a virtual assistant, I started at a lower pay. I'm going to be honest with you. I started at $17 an hour. Oh God. $17, Regina. Yes, even with my experience, even with someone as a senior and seasoned executive assistant supporting global CEOs, or why would you take a job that's $17 an hour? Well, I'll tell you why, because I've worked with other companies, other VA companies. I started at the higher tier ones. I got in no problem. I was screened, I was accepted, and I started working with their client base. But those are type of clients and those type of VA companies, they're very rigorous. They're akin to like your corporate office, but virtually. They want you to check in. They want you to attend meetings. They want you to be able to use Teams and Slack. And there's a lot of protocols which you have to follow because they are serving top tier clients. But if that's your thing, start at the top and start working your way down. I say start at the lowest tier and work your way up, because in my experience, the ones who were like kind of the lower tier virtual assistant companies, they were the easiest to work with. They had, because they were offering executive assistants or virtual assistants or marketing assistants, customer service personnel, or employers or digital nomads, the lower tier hourly rate, that means they were also probably the lowest with regard to their client rates. Now, there are very few virtual assistant companies that will split 50-50. A lot of times it's 70-30, 60-40. There are a few that do a 50-50 split, but what you want to do is leverage whatever role you get and whatever income you're offered or you accept to land not only your virtual assistant digital nomad role, but you want to be able to use the strategy so that you can become aligned with this company if you wanted to become a permanent employee. Now that often happens. Once you become a permanent employee, then you'll be able to negotiate your own rate. So that's why I say sometimes using the lower tier strategy, meaning get in the door, but making sure that whatever you accept, whatever hourly rate you accept, that is comfortable for you, and that is your number, that you've crunched all the numbers, and that income will allow you to not only take care of all of your basic needs, but some of your wants as well. So once you build a relationship with the client, now you're able to kind of see, hey, this is what my client's needs are. They may have hired you as an admin, but maybe they need someone to help create standard operating procedures. Maybe they need someone to help them build some infrastructure in their growing business, because a lot of these clients are new entrepreneurs, they're solopreneurs, or they're also executives that are working for mid-tier to larger companies, and maybe the company didn't want to give them their own assistant, so they decide to get their own, utilize their own income to hire their own assistant. So whatever the case, this is your opportunity to align with that client and demonstrate your skill set, bring value, and to leverage that to a permanent position. And some of you may say, well, I don't want a permanent position. I want to work as an independent contractor. I totally get it, because I felt that way as well. However, I did use this strategy. I actually took an income that was less than half of what I normally earn in the corporate world. Now you're talking about someone who's been in the industry working as a senior and seasoned executive assistant, supporting global CEOs for 3 decades. So why would I do that? Because I believe in the strength of my skills, and I have entrepreneurial experiences as well, and I can use those skill sets to leverage a new opportunity and create a new opportunity for myself. And I'm not saying everyone that is pursuing a position in the virtual space had to have had entrepreneurial experience, but what I am saying is, don't sell yourself short. You have more skills than you think you have. Write down all of the skills that you have, whether they're customer service, whether you're good at Canvas, Excel, Word, creating PowerPoint decks, Asana, Monday.com, those workflow software, Salesforce, the customer relationship management software, content creation. If you are skilled at managing emails or managing databases, writing articles, meeting planning or event planning. Just think of a lot of the skills that you really never tapped into because maybe there wasn't room for you to utilize those skills at your current job or previous jobs. But now you're working with an entrepreneur who virtually needs everything, no pun intended, but virtually needs everything. They need someone that is multi-talented. So, say for instance, you applied for a role and they're saying, hey, I want an administrative assistant to manage my emails. They want basic support. But then you see opportunities to create value because you have so many of these other skills. So as you're building a relationship with them, that's when you get a chance to connect with them. I'm not saying that skills will do it alone, but it is relationship management and relationship building. Once the client sees, oh my gosh, this is a person that can help me grow my business. This is a person that can help me get to the next level. This is a person I can see as a virtual business partner, bingo. Then that's when you've got their attention, and that has created an opportunity for you to create something even better for yourself. And it creates a conversation for you to have with the client to say, okay, now this is what I was making with this virtual company who's taking a cut, but would you consider hiring me as a permanent employee? And then you name your price, okay? That's the way I've done it. Not saying that you have to do it. You might want to go straight to the top tier organizations and start there and then work your way down. You may never have to work your way down. You may have a hit at the top, you may hit mid tier, and you may hit the bottom tier. But what I'm saying is start somewhere, but don't discount the lower tier ones, because usually those are the no frills companies that are easy to work with. They post job opportunities regularly, and because they have such a lower, lower client fees, that means they're going to catch more clients, they're going to attract more clients, and that's more work. And you get to choose how many clients you want to work with, how often you want to work, how many days you want to work, how many hours per week or per month you want to work. There's so much flexibility, and then you don't have a lot of that the office bureaucracy in a virtual space. So my point is today is that when you're seeking jobs in a virtual space, don't discount those roles that may be starting a little lower than what you'd expect. You may be surprised, and you may be setting yourself up for success long term just because you took a chance on a role that was a little less than what you were accustomed to. Again, you have to crunch the numbers. You have to consider what works for you. And if you have not done your the top five things you need to consider before moving abroad, take a look at my video above. And I will share with you in that video some of the top 5 things I considered when I first moved abroad. Oh, actually, not when, before I moved abroad. Okay. And there are things that you may have to do in order to pass the screening test. There may be some administrative, customer service, or marketing or content creation tests that you have to pass. There may be interviews online. It changes and it really depends on the role, but just be prepared. Make sure that your resume is updated. It has your last position and that it has been proofread. And just be dressed for success. And I would say when you have your video interview, dressed as if you would be going to a corporate job, because that's your first impression. I know you can do it no matter what tier you start, at the lower range, mid or high. I know that there's something out there for you. And if you want to work with me, you can. You can just go to my website, reginadillard.com, and I can walk you through it. I can help you through the testing process, because I've been through many and I know some of the questions that they will ask. I can prepare you to interview. I can prepare you to help you meet and land your first client once you are aligned with the organization of your choice. So I do want to add this important note is when you're working for a virtual assistant placement company, their priority is to make money from the client, to bill the client the hours that you work from them, take their cut, and then pay you. Now it's usually contractual, and if by chance the client offers you a role, there's usually some time before you can be released from the contract, and that's standard. Sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 9 months. If you get to the point where the client has had a conversation with you and they're ready to offer you this role, make sure that you not only have a conversation with maybe your whoever your contact is at the virtual assistant placement company, but that you are ready to fulfill the obligation and contract with them, because you don't want to make the mistake of negotiating behind their back, or working for the client behind their back, or doing anything that goes against the integrity of the relationship that you have with the virtual assistant or digital nomad placement company. Because what that'll do is create a black ball or a black mark against your record that can dismiss you and you may not be able to work with them again. And you always want to maintain those relationships, because if that client doesn't work out, you want to make sure you're able to come back to the virtual assistant company and work for them again in the future. You don't want to burn any bridges. So just make sure that you read and understand your contract and your obligation to the virtual assistant digital nomad placement company before you seek opportunities outside of the organization or opportunities directly with the client. Okay, well, that's it for today. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Well, subscribe first, like and share. All right, and I will see you on the next video.